Welcome back, gentlemen. Here we are, just a few moments after the election results, and we're going into what we call our swearing in ceremony. This is where we get an opportunity to do a few things. We get a chance to hear from our outgoing governor. Governor Hunt has been with us since 2019. He's probably the longest serving governor we've had in Arkansas and American Legion Boys State history, and he's going to come and give his farewell speech. After we hear from Governor Hunt, we would then go into the swearing in of our constitutional officers. So if you won an election and you're not the governor, so lieutenant governor, state land commissioner, chief justice, we're going to do a swearing in ceremony for you. And so you're going to be in your home, raising your hand, and we have with us today the Chief Justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court, Justice Kemp, is going to be with us today. Chief Justice Kemp is here with us online virtually in order to swear you in. After that swearing in, we will then have the swearing in of our two governors, first beginning with the class of 2021, then going into the class of 2022's governor. And so after that, we're going to have opportunities to hear from state elected officials and for us to have a question and answer period with that representative. So sit back, enjoy as we begin the inauguration ceremonies of the 2021 and 2022 Boys State governors.
Good evening, good afternoon to all of you. My name is Jeremy Hunt Jr., and I am the 2019 Governor of Arkansas Boys State. During my year at Boys State, I said begin with the end in mind, a quote by Kobe. In 2019, that is what I told my fellow delegates. The phrase got me elected as the Arkansas Boys State Governor and the Boys Nation Senator. These last few years, I've learned so much about myself as a man of color, as a student, as a brother, as a friend, and as a mentee. I have found a new family here at Arkansas Boys State. Just like you, I have learned what it means to begin with the end in mind. Some of you might ask, what does that mean? Well, those were the first words that my high school principal, Linda Armour, told me. Those were the first words she ever said to me. She told us as freshmen to begin with the end in mind. That means to start your journey thinking about the finish line. But while you're on that journey, make sure you enjoy it. This week, you all have made several friends via Zoom and social. I salute you guys for doing the unthinkable. You being here makes all of us happy. We took off our jobs for a week, not knowing what we were going to get into. At Boys State, I learned camaraderie, I learned how to fail, I learned how to succeed, I learned that anything that I put my mind to, I can do. I learned that there are some people who enjoy listening to me talk. I want you to take what you learned this week from your counselors and your delegate brothers and apply it to your final year of high school and your first week of college. These times are different. We are under new norms and are doing new things. This is truly a week that shapes a lifetime. I want to thank you for making my first year as junior counselor memorable. Shout out to Hutchinson County. You guys have truly made me proud. I cannot tell you all how much you've made me evaluate the way that I think and the way that I do things in my life. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to lead you in today's climate. If you had learned anything this week, you have learned that your voice is valuable. You know that there are people here who are willing to listen to you and what you have to say. Being a man of color, I learned that here at Arkansas Boys State, my voice matters. I learned that the only person that can silence you is you. I want you to take this week and go use your voices and make changes within your schools and your communities. You guys are the future. Some of you guys are next governors, senators, presidents, NFL stars, NBA stars, whatever you guys choose to do with your life, multimillionaires and more. Whatever field you guys go into, you will excel because of one thing. you all will soon be Arkansas Boys State alumni. Arkansas Boys State has the best program that teaches not only that democracy depends on you, but also that you must speak up about it. Educate yourself and lean on your team to support you. In closing, I want you to know that with God, anything is possible. The word tells us that we can do anything through Christ that strengthens us. So begin with the end in mind and keep God first. Thank you. Now we'll bring on our Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
y'all. Good afternoon. I'd like to first congratulate all the delegates to Boys State this year. It's quite an honor to participate in Boys State. I had that honor back in 1968 in Boys State, got elected as prosecuting attorney. And I hope you've all had a good week. You've learned a lot of things. It encouraged me once I completed law school to run for city attorney, and I got elected in 1976, just 8 years after attending Boys State. And since then, I've been elected to different positions 12 different times, culminating with election as Chief Justice in 2016. So it's an opportunity to learn a lot of things. I hope you've had a good week, and congratulations again. At this time, I'll swear in the elected constitutional officers other than the governor. So I would ask each of those delegates who have been elected to state constitutional office to please raise your right hand at this time and say your name and repeat after me. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas and the Constitution of Arkansas Boys State. And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the official position upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God. And congratulations to each one of you. Now, at this time, we'll prepare to swear in the governor from the class of 2021. Is this Matthew Finkenbinder?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Matthew, if you'll please raise your right hand and say aye in your name and repeat after me.
I, Michael Finkenbinder,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas
and the Constitution of Arkansas Boys State.
and the Constitution of Arkansas Boys State.
And I will faithfully perform the duties
And I will faithfully perform the duties
of Governor of Boys State 2021,
of Governor of Boys State 2021,
the position upon which I'm about to enter.
the position upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Matthew, congratulations.
Thank you. This really has been an interesting year and an interesting week at Boys State. I know that it's been nothing like any of us really expected. That being said, we've persisted through the hardships. One of my favorite Latin phrases that I've always quite adored is per aspera ad astra, through hardships to the stars. And I think that the members of this year's Boys State truly embody the spirit and the meaning of that phrase. I would just like to say very briefly a quick thank you to everyone that supported me and got me to this position in the first place. I obviously wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fact that I had your vote. I'd also like to give a special thank you to Jace Pollard. If it wasn't for him and the fact that we were able to campaign together and the fact that he's one of what I would like to consider my close friends, none of this would have happened. I want to just take a moment to look at where we are now and what it means for Arkansas. We all understand that this is simply a mock government. It's not the real Arkansas legislature, and we know that. But we all also understand the impacts that our actions here can have moving forward. We are the next generation, and it will come time when we have to step up to the plate, when we have to be the ones that push for and create the changes that we want to see in the world. And if we aren't willing to do that, if we aren't willing to be those leaders, those service members, those people that push for the agendas that are important to us, if we don't do that, then there's no hope. I can say honestly, seeing everyone that I've seen throughout Boise State this year, and everyone in my generation, that there is hope, and that we truly do have the potential to reach for the stars. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Matthew, for those comments. Now we will swear in the governor for 2022, Richard Ware. Richard, would you please raise your right hand to be placed under oath?
Sir.
And if you'd say aye in your name and repeat after me.
I, Richard Ware,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas
and the Constitution of Arkansas Boys State,
and the Constitution of Arkansas Boys State,
and I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of Boise State Governor for 2022,
of Boise State Governor for 2022,
the position upon which I'm about to enter.
the position of which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And Richard, congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. So first off, I would like to say hello. Good evening. Each time that we inaugurate a governor, a representative, or just a local position, we bear witness to the strength of our democracy. And it is with great pleasure, respect, and honor to be selected as your 2021 Boise State Governor. There still, however, is a job to be done. There is one thing I want you all to remember: never be content. We set goals, we may achieve these goals. However, there's always something you can do to further yourself, your fellow man, or your country. My goal, not just as Boise State Governor, but also as an Arkansan, is to instill this mindset in each and every one of you. What will you do in order to make Arkansas a better place? Uniting all citizens in the interest of Arkansas is my ultimate goal. What is your goal? Once again, I would like to say thank you all for your support. I've had a blast this weekend. Thank you, and God bless you, and may He forever bless our natural state of Arkansas.
Hi, I'm Governor Asa Hutchinson. Public service is a rewarding profession with many challenges. Decisions that you make as a leader have consequences and affect many people. But public service is well worth the long days and late nights because you help people in ways you couldn't otherwise. You can show your love for your state and country by participating in our democratic system. I'm proud of each of you. Your dedication to American Legion Boys State and your eagerness to learn about government gives me hope for the future of Arkansas. I know you will achieve great things for our state and country.
Delegates, it is now my honor to introduce our final keynote speaker of the 2021 Arkansas Boys State session. A ninth-generation Arkansan, French Hill is the 22nd member of Congress to represent Central Arkansas in the U.S. House of Representatives. He was elected on November 4th, 2014, and began his first congressional term in the 114th Congress on January 3rd, 2015. He won re-election to service in the 115th, 116th, and 117th sessions of Congress.
He is a member of the U.S. House Committee on Financial Services, where he serves as ranking member of the Subcommittee on National Security, International Development, and Monetary Policy. In 2019, Rep. Hill was selected to be a member of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement Republican House Whip team. Prior to his congressional service, Rep. Hill was actively engaged in the Arkansas business community for 2 decades as a commercial banker and investment manager. He is founder and chairman and chief executive officer of the Delta Trust and Banking Corporation, which was headquartered in Little Rock, Arkansas, and recently merged with Arkansas-based Simmons First National Bank Corp. He has received numerous awards and recognition for his longtime support of the Boy Scouts of America, the arts and humanities, tourism, and historic preservation in Arkansas. He's an avid outdoorsman, Boy Scout, and spends recreational time outside hiking, fishing, and more. So that is my honor to introduce to you all Representative French Hill.
Well, thanks everybody, and what a treat to be with you, even if it's over electronics and not in person. And I want to thank all of you for your participation in Boys State. I'm honored to be with you today. And Governor Finkelbinder and Governor Ware, congratulations on being sworn in and the recognition of your leadership that has you at the top at Boys State in Arkansas. I also want to congratulate all of you for going the extra mile this year and competing to be in Boys State despite the difficult and challenging school year, and now completing Boys State in the midst of this pandemic school environment. Let me thank the American Legion too for their 80 years of service to youth, and commend you for pressing forward in the pandemic with this important leadership opportunity for our kids in Arkansas. I'm a proud member of Post 1 of the American Legion in Little Rock as a son of the American Legion, honoring my grandfather's service in World War I in France and my dad's service in the Army Air Corps in World War II, and then in the Army Quartermaster Corps in World War I. Today, you're joining a great network of some of the finest men in the history of our state and country. Some of my longtime friends and colleagues were in your place many, many years ago. Each week, I work with Senators John Bozeman and Tom Cotton. Just last Friday, I had lunch with my old friend Mike Huckabee that I worked with in the 1980s. And of course, I count the Chief Justice you just heard from, Bill Clinton, Mac McCarty, and General Wes Clark as personal friends. Boys State shaped their lives. Many of you will go on to do great things, and I challenge you to keep in touch with friends you've made over this important week in your life. I want to speak to you today about the importance of civic engagement and public service, a value I'm sure you've grown to greatly appreciate during this important week. Every one of us has been blessed to live in the United States of America, the greatest country and system of government ever to exist. In fact, my friend Warren Buffett, CEO at Berkshire Hathaway, always says, you've won the real global lottery if you were born in the United States or fortunate enough to move and live here. And indeed, that's true. The U.S. provides us all a great freedom. Freedom from violence, freedom to think for yourself, freedom to worship your own God. The list goes on. Today, some of you were voted and sworn in senators and representatives and others in important offices in our government. And the most important position in government and is, and always has been, citizen. And this week, by participating in Boys State, each of you have taken an important first step in public service. Each and every one of you will soon be 18, if you're not already, and have full voting rights of a citizen. It's up to you to continue to participate in public service. Participate in the clubs and college of your respective political parties. Agree to intern in the office of a public official here in Arkansas or in Washington, D.C. We welcome interns from all over the state in the Arkansas congressional delegation each summer, and it's a terrific opportunity. Volunteer and be involved in your community. Stay educated and up to date on the issues important to you, and choose your representatives in government and vote. Always vote in your local, state, and federal elections. And one day, there's no doubt in my mind, you'll repeat what you've done this week and actually run for office and work in the government yourself as a leader. In addition to the networking and communication skills necessary for both life and at Boys State, I encourage you to build a personal board of directors, mentors that will guide you in your higher education, career, and early life choices. Secondly, I never shirk it, and that is hard work. Hard work and sheer perseverance are fundamental to success. The only place you find success after work is in the dictionary. A key difference between successful people and those only narrowly successful people do the parts of their job that they really don't like, that they don't enjoy, but they do them anyway, and they do them cheerfully. For 8 decades, boys have assembled with optimism and ambition at Boys State. They've left with goals and new leadership skills, with some with wins, others with losses, but each ready to play a role in building our nation and our state's future. This is a task that every generation of Americans has faced, and from what I've heard and seen from you today and what you've learned this week, I believe our future is in good hands. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today, and I look forward to taking your questions. And again, congratulations on your participating in this 80th Boys State.
Thank you so much, Representative Hill. It's an honor to see you. I'm not sure many of the delegates are aware, but I was actually an intern in your office in the summer of 2016. So we have a bit of history. It's exciting to see you again. So we do have a couple, sorry?
No, go ahead.
We do have a couple of questions that have already come in, but delegates, please feel free to use that feature to ask more as you have them. So David Likens has asked, as a Boy Scout himself, do you have any advice for how older Scouts might carry themselves and their legacy of leadership in chillful service, whether that be in government or just their daily life?
Well, I think all of us have an obligation to live our lives as an example to others. And of course, we learn that in our faith traditions, and we learn it at Boys State, and we learn it in scouting. The Scout oath and law are the highest ideals of what it's to be a good citizen, to be a good brother, a good son, a good father, a good business partner, a good leader in your local community. And so there's nothing quite like living by example. And I believe one of the great things about the scouting movement, both Boy Scouting and Girl Scouting, is that leadership experience, the ability to think and act on your own and take responsibility, personal responsibility, and then those lessons of good citizenship to be a role model for others.
Thank you, Congressman. One thing that has come up a lot over this past session were the events that happened at the Capitol on January 6th. So Grayson Siebert has asked, were you at the Capitol on January 6th, and how do you feel that event impacted the course of politics in the U.S.?
Well, I was in the office complex on January 6th. I was over in my office working on a project. I had not walked over to the Capitol yet. I planned to go over to the chamber around 2 p.m. to listen to the debate on the Arizona debate that was taking place in the House. And when I was about to leave my office in the Longworth House office building, the whole Capitol complex went on lockdown. I could see out my window the crowd on the mall. My office looks to the west, and I could look down on the mall and see the crowd. And, you know, from inside the office buildings, one wasn't aware that anything unusual was going on right outside the Capitol. We had been told at about 11:45 to noon Eastern time that a bomb scare had taken place at Capitol South Metro Station and that the Cannon building, the Cannon office building, had been evacuated for safety purposes. So we knew long before the rally on the mall that something was going on and that Capitol Police were alerted. So the whole Capitol complex, late on the morning of the 6th, knew something was happening. But I was not in the chamber during the mayhem. But I went down to the chamber when we commenced debate at 8:30 p.m. that night. And the whole Capitol, the whole floor of the Capitol between the House and Senate chambers was just a sea of Capitol police officers, DC police officers, National Park officers lying down on the cold, hard marble floor, drinking water, trying to catch their breath, some sleeping, some just exhausted. And all of us in the House went and thanked them for their bravery and for their service and spent a few minutes with them. And then we debated until about 3 a.m. For the final votes to certify the 2020 election. But I went down in the basement of the Capitol and looked at the destruction on the west entrance of the Capitol, and it was extraordinary. I've never seen so much trash and debris and broken windows and doors of people coming into the building. So it was a harrowing day. It was not a good day for our country. I didn't think I would serve in the Capitol when it was broken into, by citizens in that way. So that was concerning to me. I will tell you, to put it in historic perspective, that over the many years of the Capitol, there have been violent activities that have taken place there. In 1998, a person with mental illness attacked and shot and killed 2 Capitol police officers at the top of the stairs in the rotunda. And they were the first officers to lay an honor in the Capitol, the first non-politicians to lay an honor at the Capitol. And when I worked for Senator Tower from Texas in 1983, I was a staffer on the Senate Banking Committee. And in the fall of 1983, a person came into the Capitol and planted bombs in the Senate lobby. And they went off and they blew up the ceiling and the wall panels in the Senate lobby right outside the Senate chamber. But it was at night and nobody was there. And then, of course, there was the famous instance back in the 1950s when Puerto Rican separatists had guns and they got into the House chamber. And those of you who've worked in the House or taken a tour of the House chamber, you know the bullet holes are still there from that attack of Puerto Rican nationalists that stormed the House chamber from the gallery back in the 1950s. So we've had these instances before, but in the modern era, we think of our Capitol as the shrine of liberty and democracy, and it's a peaceful place to come and express your First Amendment rights, but not a place for people to force their way into the Capitol and threaten the operations of Congress. So it was a very difficult and challenging day. It's for all those reasons that I voted for a bipartisan commission to study what happened that day. And I want to know why Speaker Pelosi did not have security in place to back up our Capitol Police, particularly in light, as I noted, that before lunchtime that day, we knew that there'd been 2 bombs planted near the Capitol building and near Capitol South Metro stop. So there are a lot of unanswered questions about what happened on January 6th for the safety of our Capitol Police. And personally, I want to get to the bottom of that. But thank you for the question, and keep the Capitol Police in your prayers. They're under a lot of stress right now, just like all of our men and women in uniform are in the police. They're under stress from what's going on in our society right now.
Thank you, Congressman, for sharing your experience on that. So looking and moving forward, Chadwick Lucas from Qualls County really wants to know your perspective on why we don't see bipartisanship on the national level, and whether or not you think there is any hope of us being able to see bipartisanship on a state, local, or even national level moving forward.
Well, of course, we do have bipartisanship. I just introduced a bill yesterday that's in the Barron's magazine today with my friend Jim Himes from Connecticut. He and I have authored a bill about protecting the U.S. dollar as the lead source of the monetary system in the world. That's a very bipartisan effort. And I'm co-sponsor with Alma Adams from North Carolina. She and I co-chair the Historically Black College and University Caucus for the whole House of Representatives. There are over 100 members from both political parties. Chris Coons of Delaware and Tim Scott chair the HBCU caucus in the Senate. And 4 of us have just introduced major legislation on facilities improvements on our HBCU campus. Very bipartisan, and it's a bill that's attracted bipartisan support in both the House and Senate. So if you live on social media or you live on cable news channels, then it doesn't look very bipartisan. So that's why I don't spend my time watching cable news at night during prime time. And I think you have to take everything you see in social media, snarky social media circles. You obviously have to take that with a grain of salt. Your generation has grown up with an iPod and an iPhone and social media, so you know all about the good things about it and the bad things. And there are bad things, and there's a bunch of junk out in social media. But you need to recognize that since the founding of our republic 240 plus years ago, there's always been tension about the direction of our country, how we design an immigration system, how we design a national security policy. Should we have national parks or not? Should we have national forests or not? These are things you take for granted now. But those debates between, say, 1880 and 1907, 1908 were vigorous about should the government set up forest reserves or should the government set up national parks. This was unheard of at the time and not popular. And likewise in national security policy, how should that be structured? What's America's role in the world? So it appears to be acrimonious and, okay, well, maybe so. But I mean, people debate vigorously and try to pick an item and go forward. What frustrates me is that sometimes we don't ever wrap up one issue. In other words, there's strong bipartisan support right now for some improvements for community policing at the federal level, where federal law encourages local governments. And that could pass in a heartbeat overwhelmingly. But some on the progressive left don't want to compromise on it. Well, is it a Democrat-Republican issue? Maybe not. Maybe a much more philosophical issue, not unlike Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton's debates about the role of a central government. So take heart, be vigorous in your beliefs, do your homework, think about what your personal beliefs are, make sure you can debate those, make sure you can defend them, but you can defend it with a smile on your face. I want all of you, Democrat, Republican, to be a happy warrior in representing your point of view on a particular issue. It doesn't need to be personal. You don't have to use ad hominem arguments. And that's the most important thing. So I've been in the House 6 years, but I worked in the executive branch for 4 years. I worked for President Bush 41. And we had a big fight back in the late 80s and early 90s between Newt Gingrich and George Bush. And it was just as vigorous as the fight between George Bush and House Democrats or House or Senate Democrats. So the key is to be civil in debate, to lose graciously, and be willing to compromise if you can find a way forward. And that's how I try to guide my own views when I'm voting every week on behalf of the people of our country and the people here in Central Arkansas.
Right, so thank you, Representative. We are running up on time, so we have one more question. As I'm sure you can imagine, a lot of our delegates, a lot of our students are politically minded, politically active. And so a lot of them just want to know what are some opportunities or ways that they can get involved with their congressmen if they're looking for internships or things like that. What is the best course for them? So what advice would you have for those students who are looking to get more involved with their elected officials?
Well, there are 3 ways to work with your elected officials, both state, local, and federal. And there are the formal internship programs to come work during the summer on your college break or during the Christmas or spring break breaks you have from school. Those are all available after school. And you can do that at the federal level on Capitol Hill and in the executive branch in Washington, D.C. There are internships there. They're vigorous. I urge you to contact your member of the House or the 2 senators and ask for an application. We've had several interns over my time in the House that have taken a semester off from college and come worked for me on Capitol Hill and gotten college credit for that. We welcome that. It's a very different experience than being up there in the summer. It's rewarding. It's a lot of fun. And then in our district offices, the senators and each member of the House have one or more district offices. And those can be a great place to help carry out policy research and help constituents closer to home. So if you want to do that after school, or as I say, on a short break from your studies, and that's a great way to do it. The third way is if you want to get involved in a campaign, and every campaign is looking for volunteers. The House members run every 2 years, and the senators run every 6. And in 2022, Senator Bozeman will be running a senatorial campaign here in the state. So those are 3 ways to do it. And you can reach out to me at hill.house.gov. And if you have any other questions that you didn't get in the queue, I'd love to answer them. Just email me at hill.house.gov. Or if you're interested in an internship coming up in the months or a year ahead, we'd love to hear from you. So this has been a lot of fun. And again, congratulations for your leadership and in being selected from your school to represent your area in Boise State. That's a big deal. I'm proud of you, and I look forward to seeing you all soon in person.
Yes, thank you again, Representative Hill. It's an honor to have you, and anytime you want to come back, definitely let us know.
We'll do it.
Thank you, thank you. So delegates, again, congratulations on wrapping up all of your elections as a part of Arkansas Boise State 2021. As a reminder, Boise Nation elections are ending at 1:15 p.m. So if you have not voted for your Boise Nation senators yet, please go into Socio and fill that out within the next 15 minutes. From here, we are going to release you back to your counties, where you'll have one more leadership discussion with your county before coming right back here for flag retreat and announcements at 2:15 to wrap up the day. Thank you all so much.